Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and we are playing Hearts of Iron 4 in the Man of the Guns expansion, where we are playing as Japan, trying to get to a torpedo navy, and we are actually very close to that. So in between episodes I did jump ahead, did a couple of things, not really that much of importance, but most importantly we finished a couple of the national focus over here. We did set up the army, and most importantly we did discover the supremacy, or go for the supremacy of the battlefield, because that gives us a torpedo attack on screening ships. We also instituted Kuri Naval Yard as one of our advisors. We discovered the long lance torpedo, which in itself does give torpedo screen penetration. But most importantly, in 2 days we are going to discover the torpedo cruiser. And I'm very excited about that, because, as you know if you followed the series, we want to attack the US Navy with a mostly all torpedo fleet. It's not entirely true, of course we do have our legacy fleet and we are trying to modernize that. Here we go, torpedo cruisers. So before we jump into that and finish the research torpedo cruiser itself, I just want to briefly say that, you know, we went ahead and upgraded some of our carriers over here. So these guys have been set up to get additional deck space, and they are pretty much a straight out update. If we can see that over here, I think we should be able to see that over here. Yeah, so we updated the Ruju that we had into a soldier class, and actually into the 1937 variant, which has slightly better anti-air guns, and pretty much the same for the Husho, which included just one hangar space and could carry 20 aircraft, into a Suhiju, which most importantly can carry 2 aircraft groups for 40 deck size and some better anti-air. So that has taken a while. We're also upgrading all of our not all of our destroyers, but a number of our destroyers. So yeah, 24 in total, to be up to the Umikaze class standard, and the Umikaze class is a very good depth charge and sub-detection craft. Why is it only 6? I thought that would be higher. Is that because Kuri Naval Yards? Let's check on that. I thought if we look at destroyers, the Umikaze class does have sub-detection of 7.5. You know what? I bet you that's the Umikaze class. Sorry, that's the... Yeah, that must be the effect of Kuri Naval Yards. So Kuri Naval Yards is a little bit of a so-so. It does give -25% sub-detection, but plus 25% torpedo attack. So that's not something that I want to forgo. Anyway, let's go for the torpedo cruiser. So, just to remember, we could of course use destroyers with a torpedo build. So we could use, if we go to the naval design over here, use quite a lot, I think up to 3 torpedo slots. We would have to use some light batteries at the very least. And this would be a decent torpedo craft. It would be costing us about 1,000 production cost. It would have 81 torpedo attack, which is very significant actually to me. The biggest drawback I see with this design is that it only has 25 health points, and it has very low light attack. We could of course use the slightly better guns, but still it wouldn't really be good against light forces. It could do very heavy damage against heavy forces potentially, but there's not that much that we can do to make it a more well-rounded ship. Yes, we could improve some anti-air. It would cost us a little bit more than 1,000, but still it doesn't overcome the weakness of light attack and a low health points, not to speak of the range. So what we can do instead is go for the torpedo cruiser itself. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, and as I expected, so if you look at the normal cruiser hull, so if we just go for the 1936 cruiser hull, I think we can only fit up to 2 torpedo launchers in here. And the rest would need to be guns and other things. Yeah, so you can see we don't have the ability to fit torpedoes on any of that. So yeah, that would only be 2 torpedo slots. This one has 3, so let's upgrade that slightly, because of course we want to use the more modern torpedo launchers. Here we go. And that's fine. So that already to me is a very good craft. You can see it has torpedo attack of over 100. Let's see. Oh, we can even do more. So we can even do 135. What about here? No, we can't do anything over there. Can't do anything over here. Do we need a fire control system? Honestly, I don't necessarily think we do. It would cost us a little bit of anti-air, but on the other hand, the reliability would go up. And the cost would go down, so... yeah, let's think about that later. We definitely do not need sonar. Yeah, but that is an extremely heavy torpedo tech ship. The only thing I'm wondering is... I thought it should be a little bit higher. Torpedo tech plus 25%. How much is each of these? 27. So that's what, 54? So it should be around 108. Well, 135 attack, but 160 health points. So, I mean, it's costing 3 times as much as the destroyer, but the good thing to me... how are you actually doing on deep oceans? Not that well. But the good thing, of course, is that the health points are much higher. So that's about 6 times as much health points as the destroyer. So if you build 3 destroyers, they would only have half the health points. They would have much higher attack, granted. So they would have, I think they had about 80 attack individually. So 3 of them, which we could build for the same costs, would have much higher attack. But overall, I'm tempted to look for the product of these two. I think the torpedo cruiser over here is a little bit more balanced up until now. I think we want to at least use anti-air attack 2 though. Did it just go down? I think it overall goes down because we fitted in the torpedo tubes over here, so that's alright. Yeah, the light attack, we might want to use the more modern cruiser guns, and that would actually be a fairly decent light attack. It goes a little bit beyond what the light cruisers would have for the, the destroyers would have for the same price, but that's fine. We don't really need any sonar, I believe. We could think about using the slightly worse engine. It's costing at 80 points to do this, but yeah, the max speed boost is very significant, so I do want to use that. Question is, do we want to use more anti-air guns? That would slow us down a little, and of course add to the costs quite significantly actually. So that's what, 200 points nearly. Yeah, because it increases the not just by 120 but also by so nearly 10% more costs, which is significant, very significant actually. But on the other hand, much better anti-air guns. Let's think about that. The other big question is, do we want to have secondary guns? Again, that's 200 production costs. Would increase our light attack by quite a bit. Although it would decrease the light piercing, so I'm not too sure I want to use that. The most important question though to me is, do we want to have armor? So armor, right now we have 0. If we go for armor, that would increase the cost very significantly. So right now we're at 30,200. And that would push us up by 460 or so. So more than 10% increase. Would drop our speed quite significantly. Our health points go up just slightly. But most importantly, the armor goes down. Goes up by quite a bit. Could also think about this intermediate solution with an armor of 6. So the question is, the piercing of this gun already is 7. So I don't think the Americans will have similar technology, so I believe they will be coming in with forces that have a piercing attack of 6, so we would need to have 8 to exceed that. Still, I think that's worthwhile. Otherwise, we'll be shot up by little destroyers and everything. This should protect us from destroyers quite well. From some of the light cruisers, we should not be targeted by battleships, and I do believe that our torpedo attack will exceed their battleships, so I think that's fine. And then the question is, anti-air or no. Another 200 points again, but and decreasing speed, but not very much. On the other hand, I am afraid about their anti-air capability, so you know what, we are going to use that and have this fairly modern ship. So if are we currently at fire control 0? believe we might be. So let's 3882, and with this we would go up a little bit. Again, reliability would go down, light attack would go up by a little bit. But yeah, I don't like the reliability drop, so... yeah, all in all, I think this is a very fine design. This is going to be our torpedo cruiser. We are going to call that by the template of... because I don't really want to go for the historical light cruiser module, so let's go for weather. I think that's appropriate, and we are going to call that the Kawakazi class, because that's probably going to be the lead ship. So, Kawakazi class. And that's going to be just torpedo cruiser. I don't expect us to forget that, but let's save it anyway. We're going to spend 29 points on that, which is not too much, I believe. So here, there we go. Very, very lovely. I'm very excited to use that. Oh, we can actually use a different symbol for that. And I do want to use this different symbol because this is most certainly not gun-centric. So yeah, let's use the skull, because why not? Just to make it very distinct. Good. So we can go ahead and produce that. Of course, we are still using quite a bit of our shipyards on some of these upgrades. But yeah, of course, we do want to go ahead and build ships. So you'll be costing us 4 steel per factory that we do employ. At any rate, I do want to put that right up to the top of the production queue for our ships. And let's see, so we have 50 steel, so it would be actually fairly okay if we did it like such. So yeah, that should even leave us with a little bit of steel, so that's alright. And we'll be using all of the other stuff to upgrade things. You know what, I actually think we can build another one of these for about, well, 4 factories at least. So yeah, let's move that to the top. You know what, we can move it all the way to the top, because that's one of the most important things that we are building. Good, okay, so overall we have 14, so you know what, let's use 7 per series. And reduce some of you guys, so that actually happens. Good, okay. So yeah, we are mostly using nearly all of our dockyards now on these torpedo cruisers. Which I don't really care where you're building. That should be fairly fine. So, right, very excited about these guys. I don't know about you, but I'm very interested to see whether they'll actually be able to penetrate the American screen, whether they'll actually be able to conduct any good raids against them. But yeah, that should actually be fairly excellent. So these guys will finish up at some point in the not too distant future. So I'm not too worried about them, and these these destroyers will one by one, I think, just be finished and churned out fairly quickly. So I'm not too worried about just leaving 2 over here. I think that's actually fairly fine. Overall, we have I don't think we ever want to go below 14 factories though. So let's make sure that we are not using more than 5 for repairs. We're currently just using 1, but that's fine. Good. Very excellent. So some of the things that happened in the meantime, I did set up my trades differently, so we are now trading properly with Manchukuo for steel, as we should see over here. So we are getting quite a bit of that in, and that's alright, I think. Same with aluminium, we are not trading with Germany anymore, we are trading with Manchukuo. That's fine. We have trained up quite a bit, some more troops. And we are currently training more, and I actually think we should train up a couple of Manchu line infantry. They came in with slightly decent template. It's a 20 combat with supported by artillery, which I think is fine. It's not the greatest. Manchukuo, on the other hand, just is good for well, basically garrison infantry for now. Our own infantry template has grown to a combat with 40, decently supported by engineers, recon, support artillery. Don't think we need support anti-air, but at some point we might want to use different things there as well. And you know what? I think we can train, let's say, 4 units and that should cost us very little own manpower, so yeah, I'm fairly happy about that. Good. And we'll actually ask you to be part of the second army. Good. Alright, so that does bring us to the new national focus. On the one hand, I think we are very much behind in just one area really, and that is the air segment. We are currently researching tactical bombers, but yeah, our fighter production, we're still using biplanes. I don't think that's really sustainable, so I would like to go for fighter modernization. Army expansion doesn't really in itself seem that attractive to me. I'm slightly inclined to go for supremacy of the will, because division attack plus 10% is excellent. I mean, supremacy of technology, getting a little bit more research is nice, but on the other hand, just straight out more attack, I would really love to see that. On the other hand, we don't really need the ultimate battleship. Expansion of our marines would be nice. Modern escorts though would be extremely good, because another destroyer model would be alright. And some of the technology over here, so coal liquefaction for more fuel, and let's talk about fuel in a second, would be nice. Same national defense state, it would give us total mobilization, which increases our production, but at the cost of reducing our manpower. So after that we need to go for spiritual mobilization, so I'm not sure about that right now. I think we'd much rather go for that route. Also the Manchurian project, just to expand their production, might be nice. It would be a decent thing of me to do, but right now I don't think it's something that we do. Right, so yeah, for now fighter modernization, and then either going into a range focus, which would be extremely interesting, or into an agility focus. So yeah, let's start to get better fighters, and that's lovely. Good. So about fuel, we are currently producing, having a little bit of a positive net benefit, which is mainly because we are not training too many ships right now. We are only pretty much training up a ship that is currently repairing, and some of these destroyers and more modern destroyers, just so that they are not really fresh. I'm not really looking for the naval experience right now, more so for the experience on our units. So let's make sure that you guys are also training up. That shouldn't really drain too much fuel, it's just submarines. And yeah, we do have good navy experience. Nevertheless, we would be able to stockpile 1.2 million units of fuel for now, but if we do look at the maximum consumption, especially of the navy, which hovers around, let's call it 20,000 per day. So in 5 days they would guzzle 100,000 fuels at full operations, and in 50 days it would be 1 million. So with 1.2 million we would be able to run, let's call it 60, 70, maybe 80 days. So that's not really long, that's just about 2 months or so. So in fact we will be building more fuel silos, so that at least we get to 1.5 million. I'm more inclined to go for 2 million in the long term, but also I do want to get some more naval dockyards, which I think is a crucial task, because yeah, we have a lot of upgrading to do, and we have a lot of production of torpedo cruisers to do. So very much looking forward to that in that regard. Other than that, I think the immediate next steps will be to go for slight modernization over here, at least to agility focus. Probably not much further. We can't go to the zero itself. We could go, I think, for... No, we can't actually go for unified fighter development. So either agility or range focus, and then probably into the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere. So finding our own faction and going for the war with China. So yeah, I think this would be a very good approach. Likewise with the Strike South initiative. So we probably go to that very soon, maybe within interlude of this. But I think probably going to want to go for this first, and then during the war continue to strengthen our economy, and of course try to get to supremacy of the will at some point. Again, army expansion, I'm not too much of a fan of Hajime Sejigani, which only gives us division training time. I think we have actually a much better Chief of Army in the Crown Prince Kotohito, which would give us division attack. I mean, I'm not really concerned about the division training time. We are somewhat capped by manpower anyway, so either of these to me is better than Hajime, so yeah, but a flat out 10% attack benefit, I think that would be great. We'll also of course train up a lot more troops as we go along. We are lacking some supplies, in particular in regards to infantry equipment, so what we might actually want to do is reduce our production of artillery a little bit and try to go for infantry equipment to a large extent. And that shouldn't actually even cost us any iron or steel, I should say. So yeah, I think that's good. Keeping a little bit of support equipment in the bank also I think is a fairly decent idea. We'll also be building up some naval bombers over time because of course they're going to be useful at some point. And then I want to skip on the close air support kind of soon. Other than that, yeah, I think we will be speaking again once we get to the war with China. So either that or any other important development. Also, I want to show you the redesign of any ships. And it seems like nationalist Spain is winning, so that's nice to see. Germany, of course, annexed Austria, but that's pretty much it in terms of world development, other than the Soviet Union going for the purge of its officers. We should also see our Marines down here, and they will at some point potentially get themselves ready to attack some of these ports, so that maybe we can cut off the Chinese over here. But we'll have to see. So, all of that, I think that's a very good episode. Do let me know what you think about our naval design, whether I went maybe a little bit overboard with the with armoring it up, or whether you think it's a good design. What do you think? Will we be able to beat the US Navy or not? It's maybe a little bit on the expensive side, I grant you that. But yeah, 135 torpedo attack. That's a lot of damage. So yeah, let's see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Do like, subscribe, all of that if you want. But otherwise, I'll be seeing you next time. Bye bye.